Good morning from Paul Levy here at Fringe Review on the day after the end of Brighton Fringe UK 2026, and some reflections today on escapism. And I think escapism is a beautiful thing. I think one of the reasons why many theatre companies and performers come to the Edinburgh Fringe, for example, and here at Brighton Fringe, is to escape, is to get away. Now, you might be watching this as somebody who works year-round as an actor, as a performer, as a director, and you might want to escape from the very thing that I'm about to describe, which is doing a show, putting on some work, creating something creative to bring to the Edinburgh Fringe, or Brighton Fringe, or any other Fringe festival. But the escapism here breaks down to different categories, and some I think are really positive and some are quite dangerous and potentially negative. So starting with the positive ones is we escape to Brighton Fringe, for example, to get away from what might be trouble at home. And trouble at home these days takes different forms, but in some cases it can simply be a very tedious, underpaid, stressful job. And it's become possible through Fringe particularly for somebody who has a day job to also become a comedian, and many do, whilst holding down the day job. And rather than just be stressed and knackered at the weekend, the spirit is uplifted, and many people do theatre courses and comedy courses particularly. Some do improv classes and then join an improv group. And the escapism is all about getting away from something. And actually the something you're getting away from can be something you really love as well. It can be a job you do, but you just want something different. But it's definitely an away from escapism. And I think that's healthy. Unless what you're escaping from is something you need to deal with, and that the escape is, well, it's a bit like an elastic band and you just sort of twang back to your original place. So sometimes escapism can be a form of avoidance, and over time that can build up and lead to something that you wish you dealt with the core problem in the first place. And sometimes then that escapism then, which is positive, can also lead to, I think I might call it over escapism, and it's where you come to a Fringe festival. I particularly note this in Edinburgh, and the stakes are really high, that somehow the escape has got to deliver so much because what you're escaping from is so awful. It can be a family situation, it can be a job, it can just be a sense of boredom, it can be a sense of living in a place that you don't want to live in, and suddenly everything lights up as the Fringe festival you come to has got a party atmosphere, feels free and creative, and somehow models the kind of life you'd really like. So the upside is you get that escapism, the downside is the return for some people. Though some people return energised, and I notice at the Edinburgh Fringe, I know one particular comedian who just wants their dose of escapism, and the reason it works for them is they're a damn fine comedian as well, and they don't necessarily want to be a full-time comedian. And have maybe the financial risk that goes with that. So for some people the balance is right. There's another form of escapism too, which is escaping into a new kind of busyness, and I think that's where things can get really troublesome. And so what I notice, for example, is somebody comes to the Edinburgh Fringe, but I've seen it at Brighton Fringe, but Edinburgh's really intense, and the escapism is into being master of your own destiny, is that all the busyness that you're doing has been set by you and not a line manager in a job back home. It could be family too, could even be a relationship. No one's telling you what to do. You've set your own course, and for a month you can forget the other 11 months of the year if you're only doing one Fringe festival, where you can have that sense of freedom that you might have had when you were younger, or you might have never had. So you can stay out late. And I find it interesting, I talk to some people my age who still get a feeling that when they're out at 2 o'clock in the morning that somehow they go, I can't believe I'm allowed to. There's a sort of memory of being told by parents that you've got to be home by 11 o'clock. And there's a sense of being one of the lost boys or girls or lost people in Peter Pan, that for a moment we can reset the rules and be in a different world. And the danger of that, and I'm going to use the word, it might sound a bit parental, is that you become irresponsible. And that can take different forms. One is that you just do stuff that could end up with you being ill. People end up in accident and emergency because they have just catapulted into overindulging. But it can also be that the escapism is so chaotic that actually harms the show that you're doing. You can also get into a kind of pathologically intense busyness where you're constantly looking for problems to solve. And I see people walking up the street on their phone, speaking, texting, not even able to give the flyers out they're supposed to give. And you can burn out. You can end up over peaking, and then you get a come down within a week of, say, the Edinburgh Fringe, and you're not enjoying it anymore because you have gone far too intensely into a load of busyness where you're just not stopping, you're not taking time to breathe. And so it's an escapism that's a kind of deal with the devil, because the escapism into this constant busyness is that the busyness is a lot is manufactured, it burns itself out, you're spreading yourself too thinly, you're not really dealing with any of the tasks properly. That can lead to conflict in the people that you're working with. You can end up with a kind of manic busyness. You become addicted to it, and in the end the escapism is into a place even worse. And I certainly notice in Fringe festivals some people end up in a version of their day job. And in the end they've just got far too much to do, and there's a to-do list that's even worse than the one they had. And then when you say, well, who is cracking the whip over you? It's you. But it can be that you just say yes to other people and you take on too much, and it's in the eyes. It's a sort of fire that suddenly goes out. So another escapism that can go with that is the escapism into substances. People take drugs at Fringe festivals and can't handle it. People just overindulge and can't handle it. They spend their money and it starts going on the credit card, and in the month after the Fringe it's just the come down in all sorts of ways is far too much. But there's another beautiful escapism, and it's the escape into your imagination, and that's the one I am really encouraging you to do when you decide whether it's full-time or part-time to go into the arts. The doom scrolling and our day jobs, if they are repetitive and routine, we become addicted to constant use of AI, this is an opportunity, and I like the word, to let go, to get the hell out of there. And I find in Fringe festivals then that there are some gentle rhythms to escape into that work really well. If you ever read the book The Artist's Way, you'll notice that one beautiful thing you can do now, perhaps you've got time, is to wake up that bit early, is to take a walk in whatever city or region you're in, is to breathe in the culture, breathe in the Fringe itself, and to enjoy it. It's to reflect. It's to complete your morning pages, whether you record that like I'm doing, or whether you buy a brand new notebook and just write whatever comes into your head. It's to taste the food. It's to meet new people. It's to slow down a bit and then speed up when you want to, but have a sense that you're curating that escape. It's a really good one. You're sort of digging a tunnel out of the prison that you've left behind, and then you climb free, and every moment of effort was yours. But now you've got the ability to enjoy that freedom and not just keep running. So escapism has got a light and a shadow side, and the nature, I think, of the arts for people that are not fully working in it full time is to escape. But even full-time artists sometimes find the unique nature of something like the Edinburgh Fringe creates that opportunity to escape too, but positively and negatively. I know artists and actors and performers and directors who become addicted to things like the Edinburgh Fringe, and it becomes a prison house itself. They go into a repetitive mode. They drink far too much, they overindulge, and yet people have ended up the month after, if not at the time, seriously ill. So I just want to end this just reasserting that the opportunity to positively escape into the arts is brilliant, because the arts is a place of freedom. The arts is a place where you curate your own pace, curate your own content, but it works better when instead of repetition you have healthy rhythms. And I like the word enjoyment. To escape into enjoyment, but to stay conscious and in control at least most of the time, is what Fringe is really all about.